Hello again, Green class. This is your second video I'm sending you this week. The first one was all about history and a little bit of learning. This one, I'm going to read you a story. Now, I know how much you love stories and how much we all enjoyed The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark before we went into lockdown. And I was a little bit sad that I wasn't able to read you Escape to Pompeii. But I've chosen another story. Now, this has nothing to do with the Romans. This is just a favourite story book of mine. It's one that I used to love when I was a little girl. And actually, it's one that my girls have all loved in the house. I'm going to show you the front cover. It looks a little bit old because it's very, very well used. It's called the Teddy Robinson Storybook. And these stories were written quite a long time ago, so the language is a little bit unusual, and some of the names are a little bit more unusual to ones we might find in a new storybook today. But it was written by a lady called Joan Robinson. Okay, and the Teddy is called Teddy Robinson. So maybe she based it on stories of a bear from when she was a young girl herself. Okay, quite a thick book. Okay, I'm not going to read it all to you, you'll be pleased to know, but I am going to start with just one chapter today. Each chapter is actually a different story, so actually it works out quite well. So I'm going to read you Teddy Robinson's Night Out. Teddy Robinson was a nice, big, comfortable, friendly teddy bear. He had light brown fur and kind brown eyes, and he belonged to a little girl called Deborah. One Saturday afternoon, Teddy Robinson and Deborah looked out of the window and saw that the sun was shining and the almond tree in the garden was covered with pink blossom. "That's nice," said Deborah. "We can play out there. We will make our house under the little pink tree, and you can get brown in the sun, Teddy Robinson." So she took out a little tray with a doll's tea set on it and a blanket to sit on, and the toy telephone, just in case anyone rang them up, and she laid all the things out on the grass under the tree. Then she fetched a colouring book and some chalks for herself, and a book of nursery rhymes for Teddy Robinson. Teddy Robinson lay on his tummy, and Deborah lay on her tummy too, and coloured the whole of an elephant and half a Noah's Ark, while Teddy Robinson stared hard at his picture of Humpty Dumpty and tried to remember the words. He couldn't really read, but he loved pretending to. There's a picture of him just there, look. "Hump, hump, humpity hump," he said to himself over and over again, and then "hump, hump, humpity hump, Deborah's drawing an Ella hump." "Oh, Teddy Robinson," said Deborah, "don't think so loud. I can't hear myself talking." Then, seeing him still bending over his book, she said, "Poor boy, I expect you're tired. It's time for your rest now." And she laid him down flat on his back so he could look up at the sky. At that moment there was a loud rat-a-tat on the front door, and a long ring on the doorbell. Deborah jumped up and ran indoors to see who it could be, and Teddy Robinson lay back and began to count the number of blossoms he could see in the almond tree. He couldn't count more than 4, because he only had 2 arms and 2 legs to count on. So he counted up to 4 a great many times over, and then he began counting backwards, and the wrong way round, and any way round that he could think of, and sometimes he put words in between his counting, so that in the end it went something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Someone knocking at the door. 1, 4, 3, 2. Open the door, and how do you do? 4, 2, 3, 1. Isn't it nice to lie in the sun? 1, 2, 4, 3. Underneath the almond tree. And he was very happy counting and singing to himself for quite a long time. Then Teddy Robinson noticed that the sun was going down, and there were long shadows in the garden. It looked as if it might be getting near bedtime. "Deborah will come and fetch me soon," he thought, and he watched the birds flying home to their nests in the trees above him. A blackbird flew quite close to him and whistled and chirped, "Good night, Teddy Robinson, Bear." "Oh, good night, Bear," said Teddy Robinson, and waved an arm at him. Then a snail came crawling past. "Are you sleeping out tonight?" "That will be nice for you," he said. "Good night, Teddy Bear." "Good night, Snail," said Teddy Robinson, and he watched it crawl slowly along into the long grass. "I think she will come and fetch me soon," thought Teddy Robinson. "It must be getting quite late." But Deborah did not come and fetch him. Do you know why? She was fast asleep in bed. You see, this is what happened. When she had run to see who was knocking at the front door, Deborah had found her Uncle Michael was there. He had come in his new car, and he said there was just time to take her out for a ride if she came quickly, but she must hurry because he had to get into town before tea time. That was only just time for Mummy to get Deborah's coat on and wave goodbye before they were off. And then they had come home ever so much later than they were meant to because they ended up having tea out in a shop. And then on the way home, the new car had suddenly stopped, and it took Uncle Michael a long time to find out what was wrong with it. By the time they reached home, Deborah was half asleep, and Mummy had bundled her into bed before she had time to really wake up again and remember about Teddy Robinson still being in the garden. Now, Teddy Robinson didn't know any of this, of course, but he guessed something unusual must have happened to make Deborah forget about him. Soon, a little wind blew across the garden, and down fluttered some blossom from the almond tree. It fell right in the middle of Teddy Robinson's tummy. "Thank you," he said. "I like pink flowers for a blanket." So the almond tree shook its branches again, and more blossom came tumbling down. The garden tortoise came tramping slowly past. "Hello, Teddy Bear," he said. "Are you sleeping out? I hope you won't be cold. I felt a little breeze blowing up just now. I'm glad I've got my house with me." "But I have a fur coat," said Teddy Robinson, "and a pink blanket made of blossom." "So you have," said the tortoise. "That's lucky. Well, good night." And he drew his head into his shell and went to sleep close by. Teddy Robinson and the tortoise having a little chat. The next door kitten came padding softly through the grass and rubbed against him gently. "You are out very late," she said. "Yes, I think I might be sleeping out tonight," said Teddy Robinson. "You," said the kitten. "You'll love that. I did it once. I'm going to do it a lot oftener when I'm a bit older. Perhaps I'll stay out tonight." But just then a window opened in the house next door and a voice called, "Puss, puss, puss, puss. Come and have your fish, fish, fish." And the kitten scarpered as quick as that to go and get her fish for tea. Teddy Robinson heard the window shut down, and then everything was quiet again. The sky grew darker and darker blue, and soon the stars came out. Teddy Robinson lay and stared at them without blinking, and they twinkled and shone and winked at him as if they were quite surprised to see a teddy bear lying in the garden. And after a while they began to sing to him a very soft and sweet and far away little song to the tune of Rock-a-bye Baby, and it went something like this: "Rock-a-bye Teddy, go to sleep soon. We'll be watching, and so will the moon. When you awake with dew on your paws, down will come Debbie and take you indoors." Teddy Robinson thought that was a lovely song, so when it was finished he sang one back to them. He sang it in a grunty voice because he was rather shy, and it went something like this: "This is me, under the tree, the bravest bear you ever did see. All alone, so brave I've grown, and camping out on my very own." Stars nodded and winked and twinkled to show that they liked Teddy Robinson's song, and then they sang Rock-a-bye Teddy all over again, and he stared and stared at them. He finally fell asleep. Very early the next morning a blackbird whistled, then another blackbird answered, and then all the birds in the garden opened their beaks and twittered and cheeped and sang, and Teddy Robinson woke up. One of the blackbirds hopped up with a worm in his beak. "Good morning, Teddy Bear," he said. "Would you like a worm for your breakfast?" "Oh, no, thank you," said Teddy Robinson. "I don't usually bother about breakfast. Do eat it yourself." "Thank you, I will," said the blackbird, and he gobbled it up and hopped off to find some more. Then the snail came slipping past. "Good morning, Teddy Bear," he said. "Did you sleep well?" "Oh, yes, thank you," said Teddy Robinson. Then the next door kitten came scampering up, purring. "You lucky person," she said as she rubbed against Teddy Robinson. "Your fur is damp, but it was a perfect night for staying out. I didn't want to miss my fish supper last night, otherwise I'd have stayed with you. Perhaps I will another night. Did you enjoy it?" "Oh, yes," said Teddy Robinson. "You were quite right about sleeping out. It was lovely." The tortoise poked his head out and blinked. "Hello," he said. "There's a lot of talking going on for so early in the morning. What's it all about?" "Oh, good morning, Bear. I'd forgotten you were here. I hope you had a comfortable night." The blackbird offering Teddy Robinson his worm for breakfast. And before Teddy Robinson could reply to the tortoise, he had popped himself back inside his shell. Then, a moment later, Teddy Robinson heard a little snuffling voice and a shuffling noise in the grass behind him, and there was Deborah out in the garden with bare feet and she is. She picked him up and she hugged him and she kissed him and she whispered to him very quietly, and then she ran through the wet grass and in at the kitchen door and up the stairs into her own room. A minute later, she and Teddy Robinson were snuggled down in her warm little bed. "You poor, poor boy," she whispered as she stroked his damp fur. "I never meant to leave you out all night. Oh, you poor, poor boy." But Teddy Robinson whispered back, "I aren't a poor boy at all. I was camping out and it was lovely." And then he tried to tell her all about the blackbird and the snail and the tortoise and the kitten and the stars. But because it was really so very early in the morning, and Deborah's bed was really so very warm and cosy, they both got a little bit drowsy. And before he had even got to the part about the stars singing their song to him, both Teddy Robinson and Deborah were fast asleep. And that, you three, is the end of the story about how Teddy Robinson stayed out all night. Hope you enjoyed it. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.